Hello and welcome back. Next we are going to be talking about receptacles and 26700. Now, receptacle configuration shall be in accordance with diagram 1 and diagram 2. So the diagrams are located just on the ends of the tables in your code book. So receptacle configuration, once again, as I stated, shall be in accordance with diagram 1 and 2, except for receptacle used on equipment solely for interconnection purposes. Subrule B, where receptacles for specific applications as required by other rules of the code, and subrule C, where other configurations are suitable. Subrule 2, except as provided for by other rules of the code, receptacles having configuration in accordance with diagram 1 and 2 shall be connected only to circuits having a nominal system voltage and ampere rating corresponding to the rating of the configuration. So you cannot take, for example, a 208 volt receptacle and connect 600 volts to it. You can't take a 30 amp plug, whatever it happens to be, and connect it to, for example, 60 amps. You can't mix and match. You have to use the characteristics of diagrams 1 and 2. Okay, we will skip items 3, 4. You can read that on your own leisure. Subrule 5. Once again, we are talking about receptacles located in floors shall be enclosed in floor boxes. That's, approved floor boxes for the applicable application. Okay, and we'll scroll up a little bit. Subrule 6 and 7 are important. Receptacles rated 30 amps or more and installed facing downward shall have provisions for locking or latching to prevent unintentional detachment. Subrule 7, after installation, receptacles faces shall project a minimum 0.4 millimeters from metal or conductive face plates. That means your faceplate has got to basically be flush with the device. No recessing of that faceplate whatsoever. Okay, I'll just flip the screen to the next rule. Bonding of receptacles, very important for those of you here that may do renovation work. Bonding of receptacles. Where grounding type receptacles, that is this, see how it has a bond pin right there? Where grounding type receptacles are used in existing installations to replace the ungrounded type, and that's in the olden days when we used to have the just the 2-pin, just like that, not the 3-pin like this. The grounding terminal shall be effectively bonded to ground, and one of the following methods shall be permitted to be used. Connection to a metal raceway or cable sheath that is bonded to ground. So if you happen to have some metal armor or raceway, you can bond to that. Connection to the system ground by means of a separate bonding conductor. So what that means is if you have an existing dwelling unit where, of course, they didn't have a bond pin, and now you do, you could daisy chain and loop a bonding conductor from device to device. Or subrule C, bonding to an adjacent grounded metal cold water pipe. If you happen to have some copper tubing in the house, you could bond to that, providing that it's a cold water line and it is actually bonded. Now, notwithstanding subrule 1, at existing outlets where a bonding means does not exist in the outlet box, grounding type receptacles shall be permitted to be installed. You can install these providing that each receptacle is protected by a ground fault circuit interrupter. So you could skip all this by installing a GFCI receptacle of the Class A type. And sub-rule C, a bonding conductor shall not be extended from any receptacle protected by a ground fault circuit interrupter of the Class A type in accordance with sub-rule 2 to any other outlet. Sorry, a bonding conductor shall not be extended from any receptacle protected by a GFCI. Anyway, so you can have a read of that. Okay, I'll move the screen up so we can look at 26704. Protection of receptacles by ground fault circuit interrupter of the Class A type. So, receptacles having configuration of 5-15R, in other words the 15 amp, or the 20 amp T splits here for kitchens, installed within 1.5 meters of sinks, and that's a wash basin complete with a drain pipe. Bathtub or shower stall shall be protected by a GFCI interrupter of the Class A type, except where the receptacle is intended for a stationary appliance designated for the location and located behind the stationary appliance such that it is inaccessible for use with general purpose portable appliances. So notice that this rule 26704 is under general, so it pertains to all receptacles, whether it's in commercial, industrial, residential, it's everything. So anything within 1.5 meters of any sink has to be GFCI protected. If you happen to have, for example, in a dwelling unit, a bathroom with a common, not a bathroom, a laundry room with a sink. So the question is, does the washer have to be GFCI protected if the receptacle is located behind or below the washer? The answer is, it all depends where you install that receptacle. If the receptacle is low behind the washer, the 15 amp receptacle, then the washer is protecting the receptacle, and no, it does not have to be GFCI protected. However, if it's above the washer, then of course it does have to be GFCI protected, as long as it's within 1.5 meters of the sink. Okay, so that ends it there. We're going to come back in a couple minutes and deal with tamper-resistant receptacles.